talk about your own resources now, identify where you're strong at and where you're weak at, okay? It doesn't mean it's right or wrong, okay? It is simply, you need to take a strong dose of reality, okay? Strong dose of reality in terms of where you're at, what you have available to you, and what you don't, okay? Or really what you're lacking, or really what you're underutilizing, okay? This, by the way, guys, this is in every area of your business, okay? You can have a strong client base, but if you're not consistently working with them for what they actually need, you're falling short. You have a large opportunity there for your current business, let alone an acquisition, right? If your staff feels unwieldy, that just means you don't have the proper metrics in place. You don't have the proper tools in place. You don't have proper management in place. You don't have KPIs and all this other stuff, right? And all these other leadership tools to help dial in your team so that they're operating effectively and profitably for you, right? So that's a clear indication as to something is missing. And by the way, if you feel that way about your team, then go to my Q2 live quarterly event. I had the QR code earlier. It's on the website. It's all on how to create a rockstar profitable staff, okay? So at any point in time, if you're bringing in a team, you're like, holy crap, I don't know how to do anything and how to lead and actually have a profitable team. Like anyone who says, I don't want to hire because I don't want the overhead, they haven't gone through the analysis, right? They don't actually have a good framework in place for how to do that, okay? So anyways, just a little bit of a tidbit there. Okay, so let's roll now so you can analyze what you have at your fingertips, what you have at your disposal, okay? Because again, this will influence what you do, okay, in terms of this opportunity. You need to understand your resources and your capabilities, all right? So you need to inventory what you have available to you right now, all right? And this is in page 9, 4.1, your resource inventory worksheet, okay? I want you to go through this, all right? What do you have? Okay, you can even get really specific here and give me specific amounts, all right? I've got a really good, strong leadership team, very profitable, well-managed, driven team that will operate independently for me. That is a very good strength, okay? But if you're like, David, but I just don't have good cash flow. Okay, well, okay, now we understand that, but now we work on the weakness, we build up the weakness, and we leverage the strength, okay? They feed off of each other, but you need to understand this, okay? So I want you to assess yourself in terms of your business partners, okay, or investors, or it could be advisors, it could be just people who you connect with, affiliates or something like that, right? It doesn't have to be actual equity partners. Your legal and financial team, are you properly utilizing your team there? Business advisors, mentors, right? Coaches, that'd be another one that you can put in there, right? If you don't have someone really truly challenging you, holding you accountable and coaching you through this process, you're missing out, okay? That would be a significant area where you need to get someone that will help drive your success. Someone who's been there and done that, right? Someone who's ahead of you. If your entire group that you associate with is at your level or lower, that means you need a new group. Okay, it means you need a new group who's going to challenge you and hold you to your bullshit and challenge you to push forward and call you on your crap, all right? You're like, oh my gosh, I got a staffing issue. And you're like, you're surrounded by $5, $10, $15 million business owners. Like, are you kidding me right now? You have a staffing issue? They probably have 4 businesses and 100 employees, right? Don't tell me about a staffing issue. That just sounds stupid to them. You see what I'm saying? But that's good. That's what you want. You want someone to challenge you. So anyways, go through this. You got your staff, skills, expertise in your specific industry, time and bandwidth. How well are you managing and utilizing your time? All right? There's a huge difference between I am leveraging my time extremely effectively and I am just lost. It takes me 4 hours to do something that's 2 hours. That's an issue, and you got to address that, right? Before you put in even more challenges. You need to structure your time and identify it, okay? So you got on the middle side, on the middle part, what do I have now and what do I need? What is my gap, okay? Go through that, and then you're going to roll right into your reflection questions. In case you haven't noticed, a little bit of a pattern here, guys. I'm going to give you basically the basics here, okay? And then you're going to assess, and then you're going to reflect. Over and over and over again, I want this to be a very creative process so you can really walk out of here with not only the plan, but you fully understand where you're at and where you need to be, okay? That was, hopefully you can tell, a very clear outcome for me in what we're doing here, okay? So what 2 resources give you the most confidence? You're like, I love this. I absolutely love how effective my team is, okay? I love my team, right? That kind of thing. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, right? I love my team, very happy with my team. I think I have a really good, empowered team, right? And I'm not just saying that because part of them are here. Okay, but I got a great team, okay? But there's other areas of my business that you know what? I don't bash myself on it. I'm like, I need to improve various efficiencies and those kinds of things. It's just a part of being an entrepreneur and growing your business, right? So what 2 resources give you the most confidence, and what 2 gaps have you identified? Sometimes identifying your gaps is more valuable than identifying your strengths, but at the same time, do not ignore your strengths. Leverage your strengths and improve your gaps, okay? You can hire people to help you with your gaps, you can hire consultants, you can work with business partners, you can work with advisors or affiliates, or there's so many other ways, okay, to really drive in your gaps, okay? So take a look at your resources. We're on page 9 on the workbook, and let's get a good feel for exactly what you got, and then we're going to continue to drive this forward with who's around you. Okay, let's take a minute. All right, let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going. Hopefully you're getting more insight into what do you have at your disposal and what do you need to work on. Nothing here needs to be super complicated, okay? The main point of us going through these exercises is so that you begin to understand where you're at and where you're going to go next, okay? So it's completely appropriate for you not to have all these things completed, but, and we're going to talk about this later, do make a time to come back here and really assess exactly where you're at and finish these exercises if you didn't so happen to complete them, okay? All right, so the next thing you need to understand is who's around you, okay? And who do you have on your team? Every entrepreneur, or at least any real business owner, and I'm not talking about someone who's self-employed and basically just has a job, right? I'm talking a real business owner is going to have an outstanding advisor team around them, okay? We're talking, in no particular order, the CPA and your bookkeeper, okay? If you have someone that's just plugging in numbers for you, okay, that is only useful for a very short period of time before you need a tax strategist, okay, who's actually working with you on an ongoing basis. I know many CPAs that they will not take you as a client unless you're meeting with them monthly or quarterly, okay? If you're not doing those things, they will not take you, okay, period. They just don't work that way, okay? That is a very good system for developing good tax strategies so that when you're generating all this extra profit, you're not just giving it to the IRS, right? That sucks, right? Okay, number 2, you need a good attorney, okay? Now, I'm not just talking about business attorney, right? Obviously, right? We're talking an employment attorney. If you're dealing with real estate, you need a real estate attorney. If you are dealing with patents or whatever, you need a good intellectual property attorney. You need attorneys, right, to help you through this space, okay? Someone who will advise you legally, okay? Number 3, your banker and your lender, all right? You will need cash, and you are going to need cash, not only cash flow, but, capital, okay? That's either going to come through an investor or it's going to come from generally a banker unless you're self-funding, okay? Number 4, your business broker will help you locate and help find opportunities for you. That's what a broker does, okay? So that's what a business broker will do. Okay? It is also very important for you to have a mentor. We talked about this a minute ago. If you're not in a group that is going to challenge you and push you forward, then you need to find a group, okay? And it doesn't have to be anything in relation to what you do. It's like, well, I can only be in a group with attorneys. That's a load of crap, okay? Like for myself, right? Now, I do happen to be in a group full of national attorneys, right? And come together quarterly and that kind of thing. But I'm also a part of other groups that have, like, you'll rare find another attorney. You see what I'm saying? So I want to surround myself. I specifically surround myself with people who have 10, 20, etc., X, what I have. Because I just want to experience them, okay? And I want to be around them. And then when they're just saying things like, well, yeah, I just opened up another office. Why wouldn't I? You see what I'm saying? Like, versus someone who just starts out, they wouldn't probably say that. They would be encumbered by a lot of fear, okay? So I want to be around people who are far more successful than me, all right? And then your investors and your partners, okay? If you are afraid of bringing on business partners, number 1, that could be a sign of a limiting belief or limitation. We talked about that earlier. But number 2, you really should think openly about it, okay? Now, we're not going into dealing with investors and partners, and maybe we'll do another quarterly event on that, right? But that's not what we're talking about today, but it is something for you to consider, okay? If people are afraid of giving out equity, but if you can give out 20% equity, but then your business doubles, and your net profit doubles, you just made some really, really nice investment. And if your partner has all kinds of skill sets that you don't have, your business will thrive substantially, okay, through that arrangement, okay? So just something to keep in mind, okay? But you do want to spend a lot of due diligence on that. No part of me, and this is being recorded, no part of me is saying go willy-nilly into a partnership arrangement. Not saying that. But it is a very powerful opportunity should the right opportunity arise, right? Like the right situation, okay? All right, let's keep going. All right, now, leverage points. Every single person in this room has things that they can leverage, and I would guarantee that you're under-leveraging. You're not properly utilizing them. You should be profiting more, okay? So I want you in your workbook to identify your top 3 leverage points, okay? You have amazing things in your business right now that you're not properly utilizing, all right? Or not utilizing to the maximum amount that it could be, okay? And this will also help you in bringing on a new opportunity. Again, if you have an amazing staff and you can have your director of operations start to help manage that other team, that's a powerful asset that you need to leverage. Versus, if, well, I got a director of operations, but I don't have this person do anything to help me with a new company, now you're underutilizing your point that you should be leveraging, or your asset, okay? So this could be client base, your reputation, it could be your systems. Maybe your automation system is freaking phenomenal, okay? And you are a whiz at AI, and you can get AI to do anything for you, and you know, the AI does your taxes and reaches out to your clients, and you got all these AI bots and stuff like that. It's pretty freaking amazing, right? Very soon, it's gonna be like, we're not driving cars anymore, I'm not even gonna walk my own feet, all right? That doesn't make sense, but you know, eventually that will, right? I'm not even gonna be doing anything. Everything's gonna be automated or whatever, but if you know how to do that, now you can leverage it. If you don't, you're gonna be bankrupt, okay? It's just a fact, okay? If you don't know these things that are coming, this will destroy your business. You need to understand them, okay? So anyways, leveraging your strengths, okay? And then how can you use these strengths to position yourself in a deal, okay? If you're going into a deal and the seller wants his staff to be taken care of, okay, well, you sure as heck better have some systems and some existing operations and staff to be able to do that. You can now leverage your strength to help you get that deal because you now know what the seller wants. You see what I'm saying? So this is how this all kind of starts to work together so you can actually close the deal more effectively, okay? Because at the end of the day, engaging with the seller is no different than engaging in any kind of prospect, okay? You're engaging, you're learning about them, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit here, okay? So go through in your workbook now your points that you want to leverage, okay? This is on the bottom of page 10. All right, and then right after this, we're going to go into our gap analysis action plan. So that'll be even more fun for us, okay? So right now, hit your leverage points, and let's get these things written down, okay? Let's take a minute. Guys, really have fun while you're doing this. There should be smiles on your faces. You're looking at your strengths. You're looking at what makes you unique. You're looking at the components of your business. Even if you never pull the trigger on an acquisition, which, you know, I think by the end you're going to see that this is not that hard, right? We can do this fairly systematically with a high-level success rate, right? But even if, let's say you never did, would this not be useful for your everyday business? Leveraging the assets that you have properly and effectively and really identifying gaps in your company and closing these gaps, right? I mean, you should be doing this semi-annually at a minimum, right? But quarterly would be more ideal. Okay, so basically now here's where we're bringing it home. Okay, here's where we're bringing it home on this topic that we're talking about right now. On the next section of your workbook is your gap analysis plan. So you've already identified your strengths and your weaknesses. You've already identified your resources, at least some of them that you have. You've already identified things that you're going to leverage, at least again an initial idea on what you're going to be doing, not only to leverage the value of your current business, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But also to help you close deals because you'll know what resources you have available to you and things that you can leverage to make this opportunity a reality for yourself, okay? You know, that kind of thing, right? Like when I was meeting with the opportunities that I was able to close on, one of the big things that we were almost interviewing each other, and the seller was interviewing me on how well am I going to take care of his clients, right? How well am I going to take care of his clients? How well is David going to take care of his staff? That was extremely important to him, right? And I think just about anyone that you come in contact with, unless it's not a service-based business, is more of just kind of like an asset, that kind of thing, which there's plenty of those out there. But that was very important to them. And so my systems that I was able to leverage was extremely helpful. That's what got the deal. He had other opportunities. He could have sold it probably for higher, right? But because of what I brought to the table in terms of my resources I was leveraging, that's what made the deal. Okay, so this is extremely important, okay? If you don't think this is applicable, you are highly wrong, okay? I would challenge you to challenge yourself, okay, to really take a look at this, okay? So come up with a plan. This is where the rubber meets the road here, guys, okay? What are your gaps, okay? Now we're not hitting strengths, we're specifically hitting gaps. What is your action item? Just come up with one thing. Let's make it extremely easy for yourself, at least for now, and then you can build on this, okay? I mean, guys, it would be impossible for us to really spend sufficient enough time to go through this in great depth. I mean, you could spend an entire afternoon. You can spend days on this, depending on the size of your company, right? Which there's a wide variety in this room here. Identify your gaps, okay? And then what's your action step to close the gap at least a little bit, and what's the specific deadline? Because again, these things that you're analyzing is going to help you close the deal that I'm going to be teaching you how to do shortly, okay? So this is why this is all extremely useful, but then at the end of the day, you will also have a plan to just grow your business in general, okay? So let's go through the gap analysis here. Let's just take a minute here, and then as soon as we're done with this, then we're going to have a short little break. So let's get it done, and then we'll have our break, okay? So let's get it done. Thanks, guys. And guys, as you're going through your gap analysis action plan, okay, just pick a couple of things, okay? If you've got 12 gaps, you're like, oh my gosh, I got 12 gaps, just pick 3. Pick 3, pick 4, something like that, something that you can plan for now, and then what you want to do is create momentum, okay? So keep working, guys, while I'm talking. But once you do your gap analysis plan, okay, and it could be as simple as, my inventory is very low, or my cash flow is low, or I need to create a better system for my staff, or it could be any of these things, right? That kind of thing. I want more passive income, right? That kind of stuff. By the way, very, very powerful strategies we're actually going to touch on a little bit at the very end about how to really bring in a substantial amount of passive income into your business, okay? So we're going to talk about that, not extensively though, okay? So as you go through your gap analysis, then I want you to hit the reflection prompt. Is if you close these gap in the 90 days, in the next 90 days, you close this gap, what would be the opportunities that you would now be able to pursue, okay? Because if you want to bring in another team of 30 people and you're running a daycare in your business, that's not going to work very well, right? I think we all can agree that if I feel like it's just like a bunch of people running around like crazy and I've got a high turnover rate, an extremely high attrition rate in my staff and clientele because of this disorganization, you probably should work on that. That would be a gap, okay? All right? But then you're like, all right, well, my reputation is phenomenal, right? So that's something we want to leverage. We want to hit our gaps now, the specific plan to do so. Who you're going to bring in. The most important thing, guys, okay? Most important thing is the deadline, okay? The timeline, all right? If you're just like, I'll do it eventually, or I'll get to it kind of, sort of, sometime soon, that is a load of crap, okay? Give yourself a specific timeline, a specific target for when you're going to do this, or when you're going to at least have something accomplished, okay? It doesn't matter what it is. Set yourself a target, okay? So that's the final piece of this. Keep on working.